Welcome to Hardheaded Podcast. We're excited that you've joined us as we have a conversation. We found that a good conversation allows us to share what's on our mind, whether current events, what's grinding our gears, or our pet peeves.
It also allows us to share our top 3, a list of our favorite things on any given subject, most of which are highly opinionated. In closing, we share a good word. Solid friendships are encouraging. Even if we joke and give each other a hard time, our ultimate responsibility is to uplift each other.
Our goal is that you'll feel like you're part of the conversation, like you were in the studio with us, and that you feel encouraged after tuning in to our podcast. It's time to join the conversation.
All right, welcome to the show today, ladies and gentlemen. Today we got an excellent show for you. We are going to hear what's on Matt's mind, and I bet it's something fun and very practical and realistic.
Uplifting.
Always.
Positive.
Always. Our top 3 is going to be aircraft. Top 3 aircraft used in film or TV. So I'm interested to hear what you guys have put on your lists. Then we're going to hear a good word. We're still in the Blue Chosen book, 40 Days with Jesus. We're going to hear that from Chet today. Pastor Sears. All right, Matt, what's on your mind?
Property taxes.
Oh.
We're
like house taxes?
Definitely.
Like your house?
This is definitely not going to be uplifting.
anything that you own that you're taxed on, that you own outright. So that could be your car, a trailer here in Kansas, boat, house.
Why are you distinguishing between something that I own or something that the bank owns? Like, are you talking like if I have a loan for a car, I should be taxed on it? But if I don't have a loan for a car, I should not be taxed on it?
Let me get there. But yes, I think that would be appropriate. So it all started, I've always hated paying my property taxes because it comes every year, and here we are, tax season coming up here in a few short weeks. Or tax season is here, but your due date here comes up, I don't know if it's April 15th or April 18th now, if they've changed it, whatever. But so I come home one day and there's a letter from Reno County on my counter. And I'm like, oh, it's probably a, tax bill or something like that. Hey, you need to pay this. Okay. So I open it up. There's a big old sheriff's badge
Warrant.
on the paper. And it's a warrant for unpaid property taxes on a trailer that I own outright. And then it said at the bottom, if taxes are not paid, we're able to do this up into including confiscating your trailer. And then what they do there is they confiscate it, sell it, take the tax money. So basically the state there, for the $236 that I owed on this trailer for 2021, because apparently I didn't pay it, which is a separate issue in itself, because they send you and you're able to renew your, like your cars online. You cannot do that with your trailer. They send you something which got lost in the mail somewhere, and probably in a pile of crap that I have somewhere, and just got missed. And so, okay. So it got me, it made me mad, and it's not.
Because you bought that trailer and you paid sales tax on it?
I did pay sales tax on it.
And you paid to have it registered and licensed and all that?
I paid for the tags.
And then this is the next year and you just still hadn't done it. You had to do it again.
I had to do it again. And so what are they doing there? How many times have I been taxed on that already in basically a full year of owning that trailer? Taxed when I bought it, taxed to tag it, taxed to tag it again the next year. So at this point, I've paid 3 times a tax on that trailer.
And it'll be 4 times this time next year.
And it'll be 5 times the year after that, 6. It never stops. And so it really, for polite way, made me mad. And that day, of course, I always have, I try to control myself, but I typically have a lot of knee-jerk reactions to government stuff like that, because it makes me so mad. Especially when I was dealing with the state for, Admiral's Pennant. So they, for whatever reason, swore for years that I had employees. And I was like, no, it's literally me and my wife, and all we do is that's how we roll. And so I didn't file employee withholding. And I'm like, I don't have any employees. And this lady at whoever was at the state calling me saying, hey, you need to file this, was like so rude. And I was just like, I hung up on her. I was like, look, you can call me back when you're in a better mood. And I hung up on her. And
she's a government worker. She's never in a better mood, Matt.
But that's what I'm saying. It's like, for some reason, it's like I owed her money personally. And it's like, you know what? No, I don't owe you anything. Number one, you're wrong.
Yeah.
So you go fix your stuff and then come back to me. So I'm notorious for hanging up on state phone calls. And IRS is way easier to deal with than your state government.
As long as you do what they tell you to do.
Well, that's true.
Otherwise, they show up with guns.
So it got me thinking again, because now, I've got to pay the property taxes on my home.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm fortunate enough not to have a mortgage. My house is paid for. And yet every year I've got to pay thousands of dollars in taxes so that I can live in my home. And then if I don't pay that, they can just come take the home from me. So to me, we as Kansans anyway, we don't own anything. We just rent it for a little bit. And that makes me mad. And there are ways around it. So I got to looking.
Wait.
What?
Are you telling everybody how to not pay taxes?
No, I'm saying, and again, my knee-jerk reaction is always, I'm just not going to pay it and let them come get me.
But you said there's ways around it. Like, are you about to tell everybody that's listening to this how
to evade taxes?
Yeah.
Hey, all I'm saying is Oklahoma is looking pretty good.
Like moving to Oklahoma?
No.
What are you trying to say here?
How do you?
I'm just saying
this house is an Oklahoma address.
No, well, your home is a little bit different than your cars and trailers. But from what I've heard, I haven't tried anything yet.
I just had a conversation with a gentleman who got caught.
How bad was it?
You just got to go back taxes. And he said it was, he got caught because it was on his insurance. Like if you're paying, they look at your insurance, whatever you have insurance under, and then they go say, okay, well, you've got this many cars, this many trailers, this many whatevers. And, oh, well, we only have registrations for some of those, not all of them.
Yeah. See, well, and that trailer, I don't have to insure it. Right. The trailer anyway, but your home and your car, stuff like that, you would.
Yeah. Or a boat.
Or a boat. But I looked at our state budget and I said, okay, so I'm paying all this money. Where is it going? And how much of this money is going, or how much does this contribute to the overall budget?
Mm-hmm.
What do you think property taxes, how much revenue for the state do you think that makes in a year? What percentage of the budget?
I don't know, because we have a really high sales tax too. And
Yes.
we have a high state income tax as well.
Yes.
So probably, I don't know, 20%?
0.2%.
0.2%.
0.2%.
Off of all property tax, like land and everything, or just trailers?
Everything is 0.2.
Okay.
That's everything, all property taxes combined. So you're telling me that here in America, I don't technically own anything for 0.2% of a Kansas budget.
That's what they're telling you.
Let's fix it.
How do we do that?
Well, we can transition that to a higher sales tax, like because that's based on use. So, and Governor Kelly now is, of course, it's election coming up. So now she wants to do away with sales tax on food, which I'm 100% behind. Let's get rid of that. We don't need that. And we can up the taxes. We're already paying $5 a gallon for gas. So whatever, whenever it goes back, hey, let's agree to somewhere around that $3.50 like California does, those gas prices.
No.
Hey,
what are you talking about? There's already a tax built into that dollar amount.
Hey,
you're saying add more to fuel tax?
Yes.
No.
So that you can actually own your home and not be at risk of losing it. I'd be willing to do that.
No.
I'd be willing to pay more sales tax.
But you're hurting everybody that even doesn't own a home. Everybody pays for gas that has a vehicle.
Exactly.
No.
You're getting more revenue.
No, I don't think the state needs revenue.
They
Stop
don't.
spending money.
They don't.
Well, don't advocate for
But
taking more money from everybody.
But these are the ridiculous ways to offset
just
it, right?
slapped his
the
microphone.
easy ways to offset it. So
It's not easy.
it is easy.
It is not.
It's so easy. I'm not a.
Sing it.
I'm not one of those numbers. I'm not one of those numbers guys. You know what I mean? Like I look at something, I go,
I'm not a numbers guy. Let me tell us how to reform our taxes.
but I'm logic. It's just logical.
It's not logical.
It absolutely is. It makes no sense and it disproportionately affects the elderly. Somebody that's paid off their home, they've lived there for 40 years, and now they're on a fixed income Social Security, which by the way is also taxed. And then, but it's a fixed income, and that obviously now isn't increasing with the rate of inflation, especially at this point of where we're at. And they could be at risk at losing their home, or when they pass, the government just takes the home and says, oh, well, relatives are out. And then again, what do the relatives pay when the elderly passes and leaves them that property? They pay an inheritance tax. So there's just way too much, and government spending is the huge one. They need to reel that in quite a bit. And part of my research led me to education. What percentage of our budget in 2021 do you think went to education?
8%.
0.2.
Nope. 62.2% of our budget is education.
You got to be kidding me.
No. And that is up from 2015. So here we had the coronavirus, kids, not as many children in school.
Right.
A lot of parents have decided to homeschool or go to private, whatever. And yet from 2015 to 2021, again, I'm not a numbers guy, so I'm not going to do the math for you. Maybe Chet can do the math.
I'm not doing math.
But in 2015, that percentage of our budget was 47.98%. So just under 20%. So right at close to probably 15% or so increase from 2015 to 2021 for education, which is K through 12. Some of the colleges, state colleges get that money, stuff like that. But
I don't know why state college needs all that, because I've been looking at tuition.
Exactly. They don't need it.
Yeah.
Well, don't some of the private schools get that money too? Because that's what you were saying when we talked about that before.
That I don't know.
Private schools get some of the money.
Not necessarily in the state of Kansas.
Right.
I was talking about North Carolina in that case.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So, and then, one of the things that I was looking at too is, anytime you say, well, good Lord, what is this? What am I paying for here with my property taxes at my location? Obviously I'm paying for school for my kids.
Our government operates under the assumption that nobody's going to seriously ask the question, what are they doing with my money?
Right. And it's
because if people really were serious about answering that question, there would be a lot of change that would happen.
Well, and there needs to be, because the budget report that I read from 2021, I mean, I forget how many pages this thing was, but it's stupid how long it is. And all these little places that get money and the stuff that you don't know exactly what it is, and then they've got a, general fund, and then they've got this fund, and where's all that money going? And then when they have this, like this year, we had a budget surplus in the billions of dollars. And I forget exactly how many billions of dollars our surplus
Kansas
was.
will almost always have one, because they have a law. It's in the Kansas Constitution that you cannot operate under a deficit. So you can't spend money you don't have.
Well, we're in debt, according to.
We're not getting out of it.
So.
But there's no deficit spending in Kansas.
Okay.
Just so you know. So there should always be some level of a surplus.
But if and it was double digit billions, maybe 10, somewhere in there, 13, 19, somewhere in there. But if you're that much in excess, reduce it to save people more money. It doesn't make sense what are we going to do with this? And it was like they were looking for ways to spend it. Mm-hmm. And it's like, well, how do we spend this extra, billions of dollars that we got? Don't. save it, reduce the rates, save people money, and just do away with property tax altogether. There shouldn't be any tax on property that you own. And again, that goes back to disproportionately affecting the elderly. So it would benefit them the most. And I think that they're the group of people that need the help the most, being on fixed income, not being able to go out and just choose to make more money and kind of relying on the government to give them an annual cost of living increase that may or may not keep up with inflation. So I think I guess my solution would be don't do away with property taxes altogether. But if you don't own something, if you're paying a loan on something, you're basically at that point renting it from the bank. Okay, let's rent it from the government too. And then once you pay that off, you should no longer have to owe anything on it. Now, a car, I think it should be one and done on a car. There should be no reason to pay taxes every single year on the value of your car. Because what's to stop them? The value of my car from 2016, or not, it wasn't built yet, 2019 to now, my value is way up here. So what's to stop them from saying, oh, well, your tax rate increased because the value of your truck is this much. Mm-hmm. So it's ridiculous. And it basically just makes you a slave to the government.
Hey, somebody's starting to wake up over here.
Yes.
And, the biggest way that and so this is kind of where I was doing more research and just getting more and more irritated. But the income tax, I don't want to pay that anymore. But I don't have a choice.
You lived without paying income taxes, right? When you're actively deployed, you don't pay income tax, right?
I don't pay tax. You don't pay taxes when you're deployed.
Yeah.
But that's only when you're deployed. So I still came back and had to pay them.
Okay.
But the 13th Amendment, and I'm going to kind of roughly quote this thing here, but neither slavery nor involuntary servitude, except as punishment for a crime where one has been duly convicted, shall exist in the U.S. or any place in its jurisdiction. And basically what they're defining is slavery is working, and it's partial slavery, not full. And that's what this one law group that I looked at was saying.
This guy, he showed up on some FBI warning, search engine. Oh, this guy's being radicalized. Matt Amos, he's on the list.
I'm on the list. But I mean, and there's no, for me, I'm kind of like you on the, what were we talking about a few weeks ago? Kind of the freedom of speech being dead.
Oh yeah.
Right. So I don't necessarily agree to that.
It's dead.
100%.
What you're saying right now is causing distrust in the government, and therefore is terrorism, according to the Department of Homeland Security.
We're going to find out.
Yeah.
So
until June 1st.
Yeah, until June 1st, and then we're good again for whatever reason.
Right.
Yeah.
But I do still call for the disbanding and complete abolishment of the Homeland Security. But anyway.
Yeah. And the IRS. Why don't you throw them in there too? Although they doubled their workforce and are giving them firearms training now.
Yeah. For what?
The IRS, accountants with guns.
That will be interesting. But
oh man,
it's upsetting that you work and you go pay cash for something and you don't have any debt, and yet you do, because you have a debt to the government. And I went over this with my mom a little bit because I always get fired up, and then she's always fun to kind of give a hard time to a little bit. Because I was like, Mom, I'm done. I'm done paying property taxes. I'm just not going to do it. I'm going to let them come get me. Like, show up at my door. Come on. Like, we're going to make national news. We're going to make national news.
No, it won't. It won't.
That's why I got you guys. You're going to have to make national news.
We'll all get canceled.
That's fine.
This is Killdozer right here.
Well, but it's so funny because even so I posted this on Facebook, and I had, I had the picture of the trailer in question, which good luck trying to find it, Reno County. And I had my tractor on the trailer, and one of my buddies goes, "Looks like you need to start putting some armor on that tractor." Yeah. But to me, it makes no sense, and it infuriates me to no end. The amount of government waste. Again, you've got guys being canceled, but kicked off of caregiver program because of budget restrictions. And yet here I am paying property taxes on items multiple times. And so is anybody here if they own a car, their home, whatever it is, trailer, because Kansas taxes for everything. And it makes no sense to me. And I think we should just do away with it. So you actually own something instead of being a slave to something. Personally.
I don't disagree with you. I got to that point several years ago, and then now it doesn't matter because it's never going to change.
Well, but that's the attitude that doesn't get things changed.
Nope.
Right?
No.
So
that's the attitude that I know that I've seen it. The people don't care.
Well, they care.
No, they don't.
They care, but they don't want to do anything about it.
No, they like griping. They like griping about it.
That's true. But
they don't care.
I think they care.
Nope.
If they cared enough to do anything about it, what could they do?
They don't.
They need to elect me to get into office.
You're not even running. You got to run. You got to sign up.
That's the other thing I'm going to get into. So
politics. Here we go.
You look at running for office, and I've got a buddy right now running for an office.
Does he have enough money to win?
So,
because that's how you win, right?
You would
not necessarily.
Here you would think, right? So this individual put in $10 million of his own money to run for office, and it's still not enough. He still has to campaign to try to get money in order to stay in this election. That takes guys like me out. There's no way that I'm going to raise that amount of money.
Exactly how it's supposed to be.
Exactly, because it's just the
people that will never change anything with the taxes are the people that are going to get elected. And no matter what initial is next to their name, whether that's an R, a D, or an I,
no,
they're all on the same team. To make sure,
but that's what happens. You get somebody like Trump that's outside the system that has.
And they will destroy. They will do everything they can to destroy him.
Absolutely.
And he'll help them. He'll give them ammunition.
Right. I mean, he gave them plenty of ammunition to get that done.
Yeah.
And just so you know, you're not safe in your HOA.
What do you mean safe in my HOA?
So when I was getting some more data today, I came across an article, and it just popped up. I didn't even search for anything. I think it came up in my Facebook feed. Somebody shared it. And there's an HOA in Colorado that's foreclosing on people's homes for unpaid fines.
No, I mean, you signed the document that says that that's going to happen. I don't support it, but that's not like out of left field.
No, but but it's like, and there was the story of one little lady that owned the house. Her husband died from the virus, and she thought that she knew about the issue and thought he had it taken care of. Well, they showed up, or there was a new owner that showed up at her door and said, "I bought your house." And that's how she found out that her house had been sold.
Nice. And
so for me, it's just the taking away. I mean, it's number one, taxes are extortion. That's what it is. 100%. And now you've got HOAs getting involved and saying, you know what? Oh, you didn't pay our stupid fine because you left your garbage out on the curb for an extra day when you should have brought it up. Oh, we're going to take your house for that. And so here's what you know what? If the government wants to come get my stuff, they can give me today's current market value for my truck, the trailer, and the tractor attached to it. You take that $236 and you give me all the overage. That's how you can get my property.
Then they're going to have to raise your income tax to cover for all the overages.
They can just use their budget surplus. Use that $13 billion to bail yourself out of the debt that you owe me.
Yep. Well, that's very interesting, Matt.
I'm fed up. I'm fed up with taxes.
Yeah, but you're still going to pay them. Everybody
because
is.
Here's the deal. I'm going to pay him because it's biblical. God said, give to Caesar's what is Caesar's. Give to God what's God's. So I'm going to continue to pay until we can get somebody in there to change it. And there are states that have actually changed their taxes, like to not have a property tax. And they've increased taxes little bits over, your sales and use tax or whatever. They go a little bit more because we're only talking in Kansas 0.2% of the budget. So for me, I would rather pay a little bit more taxes somewhere else and own my own stuff to know that no matter what, that's never going to be taken away from me. If I fell in hard times and the government went under and all of a sudden now, I don't get my retirement check, I don't have to worry about that because I'm not ever going to lose this place.
Yeah. And what you're getting is a little bit of a redistribution as well, because there's going to be, you talked about the elderly owning a home, but there's a lot of folks that are below the poverty line that don't own a home, don't own a car, don't own a trailer, don't own any of that.
And it's all subsidized.
And they're not necessarily. There's a lot out there that's not subsidized. And then you get into the only income tax that they're paying, or the only tax that they pay is an income tax, which is on a wage below the poverty line. So they end up getting all that back ultimately. So there's a lot of people that don't contribute in a tax environment like we have. Therefore, the people that have, this is just a way to take more of the wealth that exists from that class of people so that the whole state can have programs that are not financially supported by everybody in the whole state.
Right. I get that. I understand that. But that was another statistic.
That doesn't mean I agree with it.
But here's another statistic that I failed to bring up. And I'm not, one of the crazy left-wingers that think that all these billionaires should be paying, whatever, because I know that there's some in there, but only 6% of our budget comes from corporate taxes. So while you're taxing Kansas into the ground, you're letting wind energy come in here and giving them a tax abatement for 10 years on millions and millions of dollars worth of equipment and revenue that could be charged. They need to build it. They're still going to make money, but you can tax them. But no, here in Kansas, we've said, you know what? No, we're going to give you 10 years of a tax abatement. So you don't have to pay that. In that 10 years, that wind company devalues that turbine. And so when they finally get it, they're only paying 20% of the value of that equipment. They never pay full value on that equipment, but I do. So why shouldn't they?
Yeah.
It doesn't make any sense because you're screwing the people that ultimately support you.
The government doesn't exist to make your life easier. The government exists to sustain themselves.
At this point, the government should not exist at all.
Whoa! We went from I have a dispute with my with my trailer property tax and
to straight
now
terrorism,
it's anarchy. Yeah,
but
anarchy in the UK.
Government was originally formed just to provide security. Its sole job was to provide security for its people. That was it.
A little bit more than that.
But basic
we,
security.
The people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, do ordain,
safety,
establish
justice, safety. Yeah.
So a little bit more than just protection.
But it's all under the blanket of
That's from 10th grade right there, by the way.
Hey, good job.
Yeah.
I like that.
That's the preamble.
Yeah, I know. I had to memorize it.
I'm glad you did.
Stuck with me.
Something did.
Yeah.
All right.
But anyway.
Are we done with this rant?
No.
I think, I agree with a lot that you're saying. I also agree with Chet. Like, who the heck are we going to get in there that's going to do something about it?
Nobody.
Absolutely nobody.
Me.
Nope.
I support you. I will vote for you. If you can
give me
get on
$10 million.
If you can get on the ballot, I will vote for you.
You haven't earned my vote yet, Matt.
Not even on the taxes?
No. There's some other things I got questions about.
What do you got questions about? Let's answer.
Your friends? Like, how do you hang out with some of the people you hang out with? I don't know if I could vote for somebody that would hang out with me.
Yeah, that is questionable. Don't judge me on that, people.
All right, we're going to take a quick break and come back with our top three.
At Admiral's Pennant, our mission is to offer the latest and refined, high-quality masculine products and services to the modern gentleman, as well as provide him with the tools and products necessary to look, act, and feel confident in his appearance and social interactions. Check it out at admiralspennant.com. Without it, you might as well shave.
Alrighty, we are back. It is time for the top 3. Top 3 aircraft used in film or TV. Chet.
Honorable mention.
I'm glad somebody has one because I've struggled coming up with aircraft from TV.
The A-10 in the movie The Transformers. I don't know if you guys remember that from a while back. The first Transformers movies that came out.
The first like live action one.
Yeah.
I've never seen
Michael
any of the
Bay.
Transformers.
What?
I've never seen any of the Transformers movies.
Yeah, the first.
Of all the movies that you watch, there's a lot of them that you haven't seen that you should have.
I know.
You need to get on that.
Yeah.
Maybe I could afford more.
The first one's pretty good. Non-stop action.
But there's the scorpion looking thing that comes out of the deal chasing the people running from the base.
Yeah.
And they're like, we need some air support. And they send in the A-10s with the tiger teeth on them from the 23rd Tactical Fighter Wing, which my dad was stationed with them for a while when I was a kid. And they come in and they strafe and do all this. It's awesome. And I'm like, yeah, A-10.
Nice.
So that's honorable mention. Number 3, the Shield helicarrier.
Oh, yeah.
From Avengers.
Yeah, that thing's bad to the bone.
That's an aircraft carrier that hovers,
Okay.
like flies. Have you not seen Avengers? You're so weird.
No.
What is wrong with you?
You got problems. Anyway, that's pretty awesome aircraft.
I might not vote for you.
I got more time to research, not watching stuff like that.
Yeah. And then, so number 2, the Firefox MiG-31. And you guys know what I'm talking about. From the movie Firefox with Clint Eastwood.
I haven't seen that one either.
That's it's like 1980.
Didn't it? It became a TV show too, right?
Nope.
No.
Became a video game.
No, that was a little fox, an animated fox.
But it was Firefox.
No, it was Star Fox.
Star Fox.
Yeah.
You guys are crazy. Anyway, it was like Russia's take on the SR-71, like a hyper speed aircraft, and then like the character went over there and impersonated to be a Russian whatever and stole it, and then ended up getting chased by another one while he was trying to
Clint Eastwood did?
Yeah, and he's trying, and they had to like land on the ice up in Antarctica to refuel, or Alaska or whatever. Anyway,
I'm gonna have to watch this.
that's pretty cool.
Firefox.
Yeah. Not great special effects. Remember the time?
Well,
it was made.
yeah, of course.
And number 1, Airwolf.
Ah,
I knew that. I knew that.
I knew somebody would have that
modified, one, yeah. And I just want to play the doggone Airwolf music right now. The intro. It's awesome.
That was pretty good.
Yeah.
He's starting to come out.
Yeah.
And in his vocal.
Yeah. Well, anyway, that's my number 1, Airwolf. That show was bad to the bone.
Yeah, that's
the sound effects, everything with that helicopter.
Had Airwolf came out when we were interviewing when Hank Jones was on the show.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Now, who's in that one?
Michael, I can't remember. Remember his face and that weird helmet that he wore.
All right, Matt, what you got? You got any honorable mention?
No, because I had trouble coming up with 3.
Because you don't watch any movies.
I really don't that have to do with aircraft.
The cars don't fly in Fast and the Furious.
They just pop wheelies.
Or so I was looking to try to see, doing my research, and I was like, okay, and Fast and Furious 9. I guess we're already at 9.
Yep.
And I was like, I gotta see, because all the memes coming out with Vin Diesel, and something about it's all about the family, or it's nothing stronger than family, whatever.
Yeah.
And so
that's what he preaches in those movies. That's what I said.
So yeah. And there was one, and they were driving towards this cliff, and this helicopter was just raining missiles down on him. And he's just dodging them with this, I think he was driving I don't know what kind of car it was, Mustang maybe. And I'm like, okay, bro, the shrapnel alone, you're dead, but whatever. Yeah. And he just keeps going. And then this rope bridge.
Just rope and wood, right?
Rope and wood. And this Jeep drove across it and made it. But then when they got there, the bridge was no longer there. And so he somehow caught the edge of the rope and hooked it as he was driving under the front of his car, drove off the cliff, and then it swung him around to the other side. And I was just, come on, man.
I can't believe you watched that stuff.
I got that far, and then I stopped because I was like, no way. We're done. We're done here.
That could happen, though.
Jan Michael Vincent was the main character in
Airwolf.
It also had, Ernest Borgnine.
Ernest Borgnine.
Yeah, you remember that guy?
Oh, yeah. Oh, okay. No.
You don't?
Oh, yeah. Gap tooth.
So anyway.
Not Michael Strahan.
Number 3. The Avalon.
From, yes.
It's on the tip of your tongue.
Firefly.
Passengers.
Oh. What was the Firefly? It was the Firefly.
Was that the name of the show? Firefly?
So. I think so.
But
all Firefly fans of our show they just left. They're gone.
So basically this ship was in transport. It had a bunch of like hibernation chambers and stuff like that because they're transporting these people and they weren't supposed to wake up for I don't know how many hundreds of years, whatever.
Isn't that a love story?
What show?
It's a love story. Because my wife went to the theater by herself to see it.
What show is this?
Passengers.
It's a new.
Who's in it?
It's a recent movie.
Chris Pratt and Jennifer Lawrence.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty recent.
But anyway, so they're in a hibernation chamber, and then he wakes up and he's like,
hold on. Just for those of you just tuning in, Matt hasn't seen Transformers
or
Matt
Star Wars,
seen Avengers or Star Wars, but he watched a love story movie between Jennifer Lawrence and Chris Pratt.
Chris Pratt. Yep.
Yeah.
But the good thing,
totally not voting for you ever.
But I will say the cool thing about this movie is that it's really quiet. There's not a whole lot of action, and so when you're going to sleep, it's like the perfect movie.
Matt, put that on a bumper sticker. The cool thing about this movie is it's quiet and there's no action. Like what?
Well, I thought the cool thing about the movie would be the vehicle that you're talking, the aircraft vehicle that you're talking about right now.
But I can't get there because Chet's all wrapped up in calling it a love story. But Troy
called it a love story.
I did. It is.
But anyway, I mean,
Troy loves to go to the movies. At one point like I get to go to the movies for free pass.
Yeah.
And his wife's like, "Hey, let's go to the movies." And Troy's like, "Yeah." And she's like, "We're gonna go watch Passengers." He's like, "Not tonight, honey. I'd rather watch my 5 kids."
But you go ahead, babe. You can use my ticket.
But you've seen it.
No, I haven't.
Oh, you still haven't seen it. I recommend it actually. So
because it's great to go to sleep to.
That's right.
It really is. But then I
should have turned it on last night because I was really having a hard time falling asleep.
I did too. I didn't even set an alarm. I woke up late.
You know what? This our listeners are going to go to sleep listening to your top 3s.
Anyway, so the Avalon, they're going to Homestead and going to start this new colony, whatever. And the ship basically has all the amenities that you would need to survive. Well, he wakes up. He's all alone. He wakes her up just to have somebody to keep company.
They fall in love.
No, they initially do, and then she finds out that he actually woke her up, and it wasn't a mistake that she woke up, and then she hated him, and then they found out that we're screwed anyway. There's no way for us to get around it, so they hated each other forever. How long they were on the ship, and then came back together. But they had all these seeds to start a new colony and stuff like that. And they planted the seeds inside the ship, and within its ecosystem, they were able to grow a bunch of stuff. And it was really cool the way that was put together. So if I were going to fly on a ship, I would like to have the Avalon.
Okay.
Number 2.
Yeah.
The phone booth from Bill and Ted.
Nah, it's a time machine.
It counts.
It flies through the fabric of time.
I'll allow it.
I don't.
Because I mean, how cool is that to get in and dial up and look at a phone book, like an actual phone book?
I'll make final judgment based on your number one, because number 3 stunk.
You're not gonna, number one's not going to be any better for you. I can tell you that right now. Because I'm just going through movies that I know that have aircraft other than the normal stuff that you would see, like a Cobra helicopter coming in to save.
Why not? Why wouldn't that be in there? That could be awesome.
Yeah, but
it is awesome in comparison to.
But there's so many movies like that I was just like, I can't pick the best one out of these, because I mean, if I was going to pick aircraft from TV or film, it would
which is what the assignment was.
It would be. Right. But I can't narrow it down to one specific movie.
Okay.
But it would be the Cobra attack helicopter.
Okay.
Just because I've had personal experience with those, and they are pretty awesome, especially when they come over a tree line. But
Cobra
number 1, Starship Enterprise.
Oh gosh, it's the worst.
It's the best. A holodeck? Come on, man.
That thing would never fly.
It did.
It did not.
Through like the last 40 years.
No.
It's flown.
It's like a city.
Exactly. In a ship.
It's ridiculous. It would never fly.
It's awesome is what it is. I like it. It's kind of like the Avalon. The Avalon would never fly. But we didn't say it had to be real.
Oh, I know.
And I want warp drive,
Yeah.
Transporters.
Moving on.
All right.
What you got, Troy? Thanks for playing, Matt.
That's good.
I did my best.
Yeah. So honorable mention. I don't know the name of it, but the destroyer from Spaceballs. Speaking of a city, that mega thing never stopped. Remember the beginning where it's like just keeps going and going and going and going.
Never seen it.
That's awesome. You gotta be kidding me! You've never seen Spaceballs?
No.
Did you have a childhood?
You're missing out. You're so missing out.
Oh my gosh, Princess Vespa. All right, this is my only honorable mention, but I think it was worth it because I would rather have that than the Starship Enterprise any day.
Well, it has ludicrous speed.
Ludicrous speed. Go. Yes, it does. And it also has plaid, if you'll remember.
Yes.
All right, anyway, number 3, the DeLorean.
That almost made it.
Yeah. Who doesn't want a time machine made out of a DeLorean that
But I was trying
that flies.
Right.
I was trying to think which was it 2 when it flew?
Nope.
Flew at
Or
the end of
End
1.
of 1.
And did it fly at the end of 1?
Yeah.
When he comes back.
Is that when it ran on garbage?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's correct. Number 2,
I've seen that one.
the Millennium Falcon. It's the ship that made the Kessel Run in.
Something parsecs. 6?
12.
12?
Yeah.
Oh, Star Wars.
Yep.
Okay.
Whatever.
Yeah. And then number 1.
So you were a big fan of Solo movie because the Falcon was featured even
movie.
more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was a great movie. And it was a shame that they have no talks of a sequel for that. Because they set it up to where Darth Maul is going to be the villain in the sequel.
Yeah.
But it came out at a bad time. Disney tanked on the advertising for it. Yeah, but it's a great film. Ron Howard directed it. I mean, he also directed Howard the Duck, though. So
Okay.
which is a great movie if you like the 80s, but if you watch it today, it's pretty terrible.
Never seen it.
All right, number 1. I don't doubt that. Number 1, the Iron Man suit.
Okay.
That would be the dream, right?
No.
No, you wouldn't want the Iron Man suit?
No.
Superman. I'd just naturally be able to do it.
Yeah.
But
Well, that's not
In your
that's
underwear.
not an aircraft.
That's true.
he is an aircraft.
No.
No, he's
He's not a bird or a plane.
He's Superman.
right. He's an alien.
No, because we were asking ourselves, it's a bird, it's a plane. No, it's Superman.
No, he's an alien. He's not an aircraft. The Iron Man suit is an aircraft.
Yeah.
Whatever. Semantics. When he goes to space,
Like,
it grabs Lois, he is then an aircraft.
like later in the later movies, yes, but in the earlier movies, no. When he had to have a machine take that thing off, you know what I'm talking about?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I don't want to be in that.
When he got the little micro nano things,
Yeah,
you want
because then
that?
if he needed to go take a leak, he's just like, whatever, and they all retreat back to his glasses or wherever all those nanobots were stored. But before that,
Or a briefcase.
Before that, he had to go back to his house because that was the only place he had the machine to stand in to unbolt everything off
I
of
figured he just had like somewhere to collect his urine
diapers.
and just
Oh, he had to wear diapers.
throw it out.
Nah, I bet he was wearing diapers. And I don't want to do that. That's not a top 3. So maybe, good on the
Maybe
one.
later edition.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, he had those in Iron Man 2 because he had the briefcase at the racetrack.
Yeah,
Remember?
it's still cumbersome.
It's true.
I mean,
Well,
depends on what you eat for lunch.
I've only seen the first one, so I don't know about the other ones.
If you get one of those new ways, you're in trouble.
that's right. Don't trust the fart after a new way. That's for dang sure. All right.
Oh,
How about
man.
a good word, Pastor Sears?
All right, our good word, one that you may not hear a lot, especially from the pulpit if you go to church, fasting. We're coming out of the book of Luke. We're in the Chosen series still, and we'll be for a while. It's the specific verse that's called out here is Luke 5:33, and I'm going to actually read a little bit more of the context that's here. It's a little bit of a passage, but there's some questions that are coming towards Jesus because there's a lot of rules that are there, that especially the Jewish leaders they had to follow, and Jesus didn't follow those. So for him to be considered a rabbi and a leader, and he had his own disciples that were following him around, there were quite a bit of questions on, well, if you are a Jewish leader and you're a rabbi, why aren't you following all of these rules? Like, why are you eating with sinners? Like, he had just in the context here, he had just called Matthew, who was a tax collector, and a little bit of context here. Tax collectors under the Roman Empire in Israel, they got a Jew to be a tax collector, and so a fellow Jew was taking money from other Jews to give Rome to pay for everything. And the agreement was basically, and this is culturally understood, that you take what you need to cover the taxes. So this is the quota that you have, and if you want to live a good life, you just take more than that. Like you take your salary on top of what else you take for us. So there's you could show up under the power of Roman authority and say, Matt, property taxes here, buddy. You owe me 50% of the value of that trailer. Well, Rome may only want 10%, and then I'm going to keep the 40. But if you don't pay it, Rome's coming after you for not paying taxes. So they hated those kinds of things. And Jesus had just called Matthew, who was a tax collector, to be one of his disciples. So people are really like, hey, what in the world's going on? And then like the Pharisees specifically. So picking up in verse 30, the Pharisees and the teachers of the law who belonged to their sect complained to his disciples. So he's asking Jesus' followers, why do you eat and drink with tax collectors and sinners? Jesus turned and responded and said, it's not the healthy who need a doctor, but the sick. I have come to call not to call the righteous, but the sinners to repentance. And then they said, well, John's disciples, so John the Baptist and the people that followed him, they often fast and pray. And so do the disciples of the Pharisees. But yours go on eating and drinking. So they're calling Jesus out because his disciples aren't doing the typical things that the Pharisees and the other Jews do. And then Jesus responded, Can you make friends of the bridegroom fast when he is with them? But the time will come when the bridegroom will be taken from them, and in those days they will fast. So he's predicting his death. Like, they're with Jesus now, they're with me now, and we're gonna do our thing. They're gonna fast. There's gonna be a time that comes where they're in mourning and they're focused and hyper focused on what their next steps are. And then so overall, fasting and what it's in the book is about. That's a time for you to stop doing something so that you could focus on something else. And in this case, it would be, and I know we're in the Lent right now, when a lot of believers, a lot of people in the Catholic faith are abstaining from something during this time, and it's kind of over the Passover period right before Easter to say, I'm really focusing. I'm going to give this up and focus on this one thing. So it's really important. It's an important part of our faith. It's an important part of Scripture, but at the same time, it's not something you should just do because everybody else is doing it. And Jesus kind of spoke to that in Luke. It's like, there's going to be a time for that, and their time for that is not right now. But if you happen to be in a time where you need some focus, you need to really set some time aside, stop doing one thing, and in that time you could focus on praying and or just seeking out the Lord's will in your life, then step up and give something up and turn your focus in that time on Jesus. So
Thanks for listening to the Hardheaded Podcast. Don't forget to share this podcast with others to help us get the word out.
Also, if you haven't yet, please rate and review the show. This helps our podcast show up in other people's suggested shows that may or may not have listened to us before.
Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next week.
You can just
Nothing else to add?
You can just end right there, huh?
Matt's going to fast from taxes.
Are we ending right there?
Yeah.
Sure.